Good evening. I'm Steve Lanning of Labor's Local Union 11. We are a construction union and Local 11 is a proud member of WIN. I want to speak to you about why we as a community should expect our local utilities to create good paying jobs of high labor standards. As you previously heard, utilities are guaranteed a profit. Pepco right now wants to make a 9.5% profit, which is more than what a lot of small businesses make. As long as it provides basic services to ratepayers, Pepco will do whatever it can to make that profit. Unfortunately, one of the most common ways utilities do this is by squeezing the wages of frontline workers that provide quality service to their local community. Over the past couple of decades, local utilities across the country have contracted out more and more of their in-house workforce to outside contractors. These in-house jobs were and are good paying, family supporting jobs, but now these outsourced contractors have to compete with one another to win work. To do this, they are under constant pressure to keep their wages low. This is why most of Pepco's contracted out workers are non-union. This downward pressure has been so severe, in fact, that traffic control workers that provide flagging for Pepco's own crews were paid below the minimum wage. Despite these workers' public complaints to Pepco, it still continues to happen. As you can imagine, these workers struggle to pay their own utility bills. So this is a problem. Pepco claims to provide the best service to ratepayers possible while making a profit to benefit shareholders. But these profits seem to be the first priority and at the expense of local workers. Shareholders seem to come first. We need to be Pepco's priority. The best way to do this is through a project labor agreement to cover the work performed by their outsourced workers. This project labor agreement, or PLA for short, is a signed contract which would require family supporting wages and benefits. It would also give these workers the basic protections in their workplace that a union contract provides. Pepco's sister utility in Chicago, ComEd, signed a PLA, so this can be done. Our community deserves more respect from these utilities. They need to put their local community first. These ratepayers should include the frontline workers who keep the lights on and the houses warm. We, the local community, should be Pepco's main focus, not its shareholders. A project labor agreement that covers these workers is one step toward ensuring that Pepco views its local community as its priority.
As a long-term resident of River Terrace, I've lived here since the mid-1980s. The community has been asking questions and trying to find out what Pepco is doing on their 77 acres of land. This fight has gone on for many years, longer than the time that I have been here. And I think it's time that Pepco will open up, be open and honest with the community and let us know what is going on over there. The future and the health of our community is at stake.
George, would you give us a little bit of background on this Pepco plant across the street from River Terrace Elementary School?
Well, first of all, they have a paper trail dating back to 1970, from 1972 up to this date. At that time, they were not supposed to be burning the number 6 oil fuel, and they were burning coal at that time. A suit was filed against Pepco in 1975 by the Friends of the Earth. But after that, they continued to send emissions into the air that was affecting the people over here in the River Terrace area. So we're to the point now that in year 2001, we did a health study in the River Terrace area, and we found out that people were suffering from asthma, bronchitis, and cancer.
Well, it looks like you have a good turnout tonight here, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pepco's history goes back, and we have been fighting this problem for many years. We have called on city officials, government officials, even the federal government, and it is time that people come to the aid of the city and help us get to the bottom of what is going on the grounds of Pepco.
My name is Barbara Briggs. I'm a member of Friends Meeting of Washington, which is a proud member of WIN. For over a year now, I've also been part of a group convened by the Sierra Club's DC chapter focused on gas and our utility, Washington Gas. So-called natural gas is methane. It's a super greenhouse gas with a global warming impact over 80 times that of carbon dioxide. Most of DC's gas comes from the Marcellus Shale in Pennsylvania, and because it's gas, it leaks. It leaks when we drill and fracture the shale rock that holds it underground. It leaks from the wellheads, compressor stations, and pipelines, and it leaks from the 100-year-old pipes under DC streets that bring it into our homes. Something I'd been less aware of, though, was the tremendous health impacts relating to methane gas. When it's exposed to sunlight, it turns into ozone, which provokes asthma and lung damage. But things get worse. Methane burned emits nitrogen dioxide and fine particulates, contributing to heart, lung, and other serious health problems, especially in children and older people. Apartments using gas stoves often have 5 times the legal outdoor limit of nitrogen dioxide, and kids in homes with even one gas appliance have a 42% greater likelihood of asthma. This is an equity and environmental justice issue. Communities of color already have higher levels of asthma, COPD, and other health conditions. Pollution from gas stoves makes things worse. In 2018, in merger talks with the DC government, our gas utility, Washington Gas, committed to develop a new business plan in alignment with DC's climate and energy goals, including the ending of burning fossil fuels by 2050. But Washington Gas is fighting to do just the opposite. Their so-called climate business plan proposes to continue business as usual, piping methane gas into our homes. And they want $872 million just in the next 10 years to rebuild DC's old gas infrastructure and replace all the pipes under our streets. This massive investment would lock us into gas for decades. Of course, we should fix leaks that are immediate safety risks, but clearly most of that money needs to go into transitioning out of gas and building clean, renewable, energy-based infrastructure. The great thing is that now we have the technology to do this. We can use super efficient heat pumps to heat and cool our homes. Induction stoves heat the food, but the stove stays cool. Energy efficient electric technology is ready, and DC is already on the path to getting our electricity from 100% clean, renewable sources. It'll be better for the climate, healthier for our kids and seniors, and for all of us. And in the long run, this will be a lot more economical. It will save us money as well. The thing we need to pay attention to, though, is to make sure that low-income households and communities get the support they need to transition so they get the health and economic benefits. A good start would be providing very generous incentives for low-income homes and apartments to move from gas to renewable energy. Your expertise fighting for equity in housing and your faith communities have an incredibly important role to play, and we look forward to partnering with you in the coming months. Thanks.
What most people don't realize is 70% of the greenhouse gas emissions that are produced in New York come from the buildings. And we can green the buildings easily. We just need data from those buildings to understand how they're consuming fossil fuels and figuring out targeted ways to reduce their consumption of fossil fuels. So I am the CEO and founder of Block Power. Block Power is a tech company. We're a tech startup focused on using machine learning and structured financial products to green American inner cities. And the technology that we've built, we think it can reduce greenhouse gases in America by 2 to 3% in the next 4 to 5 years. So today we're going to go to Brownsville. Over 200 homeowners have chosen to install solar panels on their homes, which is awesome. It's the biggest community, neighborhood solar project in the state and possibly the country. And it's in one of the lowest income neighborhoods in New York City. I'm really moved because I haven't had the chance to, you know, I've been so busy. I never got to drive out and just kind of walk the blocks and see. But I mean, it's so many houses. It's really good.
There's one woman who, when we had a recent meeting, said that she has received a zero utility bill from Con Edison.
She didn't pay anything. The solution is to install solar panels all throughout Brownsville and on the public housing complexes back there. So we are going to head into the New York City Housing Authority complex here. It's actually a set of complexes. There's about 10,000 families that are kind of all living here together in these, 16, 17-story complexes. And I have a lot of family that grew up here. Because buildings in low-income communities have less access to capital and the buildings are poorly maintained, they actually consume more electricity than the same size building in a wealthier neighborhood. If you look at these windows on the 3rd floor, the 4th floor, the 5th floor, the 6th floor, they're open. Even on a cold day like today where it's 25 degrees and below freezing, the windows are open because these people are really, really hot inside their apartments. It's the heat distribution system is not working properly. It's a systemic problem throughout New York City. So today we're going to go to a building that has a really old system that hasn't been fixed in forever. They have one sensor. It's not working. We're going to replace that. We're going to install a new set of sensors on the 4th and 5th floors. And we're going to connect their boiler system to those sensors and to our software platform so that we can monitor and optimize what's going on. This is our technology system that we've built, our software that allows us to kind of track and analyze equipment from particular buildings, and we've done that for 30,000 buildings across New York. So we know what's going on with these buildings in real time. So then we can call the contractor or the building superintendent to say, nope, you have to reprogram your boiler. It's staying on too long, you're overheating the apartment on the 5th floor, you should dial it down 30%. You're gonna save money, you're gonna reduce carbon emissions. We're making that building smarter, greener, and healthier. We're gonna install solar panels on the roofs of the towers. The phase after that is we're gonna be installing batteries to store the electricity that's produced by all of our solar panels. We want to power this entire complex in these neighborhoods from renewable energy. And they'd actually be able to generate revenue from the sale of the electricity to the utility company. To see that the neighborhood where we grew up that's afflicted by poverty and unemployment and all these challenges is leading the way to get New York State off of a fossil fuel-based economy, and that it's happening here first. And that the work that we've done here is going to be the template not only for New York State but also for California and all the other states and the globe. Because if you can demonstrate that you can do community solar at scale in Brownsville, that means you can do it anywhere in America. There's no excuse.